Imagine getting pulled over on your way to work, the radio still playing, your mind already on the day ahead, and then realizing that in less than 5 minutes, your entire life is about to be torn apart. Not because you did something wrong, but because the man standing at your window, the man wearing the badge, may be creating the crime right in front of you. He's calm, he's polite, he calls you buddy. He sounds like someone you can trust, and that's what makes it so terrifying. Because while you're answering honestly and believing the system will protect you, he's already decided how this story will end. And this is the true story of Zachary Wester, a sheriff's deputy in Jackson County, Florida, where ordinary traffic stops became traps, and the greatest fear wasn't criminals hiding in the dark, but flashing lights in your rear-view mirror. Zachary Wester was a patrol deputy, the kind of officer people are conditioned to trust without question, because on the side of the road, it's never equal. It's your word against his badge, his report, his body camera, and a system that almost always assumes the officer is telling the truth. And that assumption is powerful enough to destroy someone before they ever step inside a courtroom. Between 2016 and 2018, Wester made arrest after arrest, mostly meth cases, and on paper it looked like aggressive policing, like a deputy cleaning up the streets. But to the people he arrested, it felt surreal. Because again and again they said the same thing with the same shock in their voices. "That's not mine. I've never seen that. I don't do drugs." And sure, police hear denials every day, but what made this different was the pattern, the eerie repetition, like the same nightmare replaying with different faces. One stop captures it perfectly. April 8, 2018, a man named Joshua driving to work through a small town, noticing a deputy under an overpass, then seeing that deputy pull out, follow him for miles, and finally turn on the lights. Joshua isn't scared at first, just confused, until Wester tells him his license is suspended, something that already feels off. And then comes the question that quietly tightens the noose. Is there anything in the vehicle I should be concerned about? And Joshua answers honestly, because innocent people still believe honesty protects them. He mentions a handgun in the center console. Legal context aside, the mood shifts instantly. And then Wester does something that makes Joshua's heart drop into his stomach. He reads him his Miranda rights. And in that moment, Joshua realizes this isn't a warning, it's a setup. The search begins, and then it happens like a cruel magic trick. Wester reaches into the car and suddenly produces a syringe and a baggie that looks like meth wedged between the seat and the console. And Joshua is frozen, genuinely stunned, because he knows he has never touched drugs in his life. And you can hear it in his voice, the disbelief, the panic, the way reality seems to crack open. Wester doesn't yell, doesn't accuse. He stays calm, almost sympathetic, saying this puts him in a bad spot, saying with a felony he has no discretion, and then delivers the line that changes everything. "You're going to jail." And just like that, Joshua is handcuffed, booked, labeled a drug offender. And what follows isn't just a bad night, it's years of damage. Because drug charges don't just threaten prison, they threaten your job, your reputation, your family, your future. And even if you fight, even if you're innocent, the stain sticks. What makes this story truly chilling is that Joshua wasn't alone, because the same thing kept happening to other people over and over, with the same calm deputy, the same friendly tone, the same consent to search given by people who truly believed they had nothing to hide, the same moment where contraband suddenly appeared in a crack, a pocket, a container, and the same stunned faces saying, "I don't know how that got there." And investigators and observers began noticing details that felt wrong. Wester often searching vehicles alone while another officer watched the suspect, body cameras shifting away at critical moments, footage missing or malfunctioning, reports that didn't line up cleanly with what was shown on video. And here's the cruel reality. Planting evidence is one of the hardest crimes to prove because the entire goal is to make it look legitimate, to leave just enough doubt that the system keeps moving forward. So instead of a single smoking gun, what emerged was a pattern, and patterns require someone brave enough to look closer. Inside the system, a whistleblower named Christina Pumphrey reportedly started noticing inconsistencies that wouldn't let her sleep. So she dug deeper, comparing stop after stop, report after report, and eventually the question no one wants to ask formed clearly. What if this deputy wasn't finding drugs at all? What if he was bringing them with him? Every scheme has a weak point, and for Wester, it appeared during a stop involving Teresa Odom, where careful review of body camera footage showed what looked like a small baggie in Wester's hand before the search even began. A detail the prosecution would later argue had no innocent explanation. And from there, the investigation accelerated, uncovering even more disturbing information, including reports of drugs and paraphernalia linked to Wester himself. A discovery that made the implications impossible to ignore. Because if a deputy has drugs accessible, then every stop before that moment comes into question. In 2019, Zachary Wester was arrested, facing a staggering list of charges: racketeering, official misconduct, fabricating evidence, false imprisonment, perjury, drug possession. Dozens of counts tied to multiple victims, painting a picture not of a single bad stop, but a system abused repeatedly, methodically. And when the case finally reached trial in 2021, the courtroom became a battleground over trust itself. Prosecutors argued this was an abuse of extraordinary power, that innocent people consented to searches because they believed the law would protect them, while the defense insisted no one ever clearly saw him plant drugs, that denials are common, that body cameras have blind spots, that suspicion is not proof. And then Wester took the stand, composed, controlled, denying everything, offering explanations for every troubling moment, sounding like a professional witness who knew exactly how to answer without cracking. After hours of deliberation, the jury returned a split verdict: guilty on 19 charges, including serious crimes like racketeering and official misconduct, not guilty on many others. And that split tells you how difficult this truth was to pin down, because even when something feels deeply wrong, the law demands proof beyond doubt, charge by charge. Wester was sentenced to more than 12 years in prison, and for some victims it felt like justice. For others, it felt incomplete. Because no sentence can fully repair what was taken. Jobs lost, families shaken, years spent under suspicion, the lingering fear when police lights appear behind you at night. In the aftermath, prosecutors dropped charges in over 100 cases connected to Wester. Dozens of people reached civil settlements, but money doesn't erase trauma, doesn't give back time, and doesn't restore trust. Because once you believe a police officer can frame you, every traffic stop becomes a moment of terror instead of safety. And that is the lasting damage of this story, the part that lingers long after the verdicts are read. When power is abused quietly, it doesn't look like a monster. It looks like a friendly voice on the roadside telling you everything will be okay, right before your life collapses. And the most frightening truth of all is this: sometimes the person you're taught to trust without question is the very one you should fear the most.